This 15-minute presentation has been developed to provide you and your colleagues with an overview of the First Nation of Nacho-Naig-Dun and the traditional territory in which you'll be working with Victoria Gold at the company's Eagle Gold project. A good understanding of the history and social and cultural values of the First Nation of Nacho-Naig-Dun is fundamental so that strong working relationships can develop and flourish. On behalf of Victoria Gold and the First Nation of Nacho-Naig-Dun, we encourage you to enjoy this journey of discovery into the First Nation's rich historical and cultural past that includes a glimpse into just some of the opportunities for its future. Before this presentation proceeds, please enjoy this official welcome to the traditional territory of the First Nation of Nacho-Naig-Dun.
My name is Bernice Kedgeside. Welcome to the traditional territory of Nacho-Naig-Dun. Nyadoti, Ihiensotham.
The Yukon has a unique and groundbreaking governance landscape and regulatory environment as compared to other Canadian jurisdictions, as 11 of the Yukon's 14 First Nations have settled their land claims and have entered into final and self-government agreements. They are referred to in the territory as self-governing First Nations. These 11 First Nations, including Nacho-Naig-Dun, have powers and authorities similar to a provincial or territorial government in Canada and can make laws and decisions about their lands, their citizens, and their governance. Nacho-Naig-Dun is one of 14 First Nations in the Yukon and represents the most northerly community of the Northern Shoshone people, language, and culture group. The First Nation was one of the Yukon's 4 First Nations to sign its final and self-government agreements in May 1993, leading the way for other Yukon First Nations to finalize their agreements with the federal and territorial government. Today, Nacho-Naig-Dun represents approximately 600 citizens and has the largest traditional territory of all Yukon First Nations, extending into the Northwest Territories. Traditionally, the ancestors of today's Nacho-Naig-Dun citizens, the Northern Shoshone people, were nomadic and traveled throughout their traditional territory, relying on the foods of the forests and the rivers. Moose, caribou, sheep, grouse, and fish, and various plants and berries were hunted or harvested and preserved to last through the seasons. This close connection to the environment remains strong today and is firmly rooted in the values of Nacho-Naig-Dun citizens. This respect for the land and the harvesting of traditional foods and medicines remains a strong foundation of the First Nations' culture and identity.
When I eat traditional foods, it makes me feel good. I got it with my own hands and know where it comes from. Sharing the harvest is an important part of our culture. It represents that we're taking care of each other and sharing the gifts of the land.
Traditionally, the Northern Shoshone people also traded with other First Nations, as distant as the Tlingit people on the southeast Alaska and northern BC coast, and the Gwich'in in northern Yukon, and with their closest southern neighbors, who are today the citizens of Selkirk and Little Salmon Carmacks First Nations in Pelly Crossing and Carmacks. The ancestors of Nacho-Naig-Dun citizens traveled throughout the region and eventually settled in what is now the village of Mayo. Prior to the 1880s, the Northern Shoshone people had strong governance, justice, and social structures in place, paired with deep spiritual ceremonies and vital cultural practices. Contact with non-Aboriginal fur traders in the early 1880s and the influx of gold seekers later in the century brought dramatic changes to all Yukon First Nation peoples, including the ancestors of Nacho-Naig-Dun citizens. What is now the village of Mayo experienced a gold rush at this time, and the Northern Shoshone society rapidly changed from a subsistence lifestyle to a cash economy. To this day, Nacho-Naig-Dun citizens maintain strong ties to their traditional territory, including places such as Lansing, McQuestion, Fort Selkirk, and Moosehide Village.
In the late 1800s, as many as 100 men worked the gravel bars of the Stewart River looking for gold, and others explored and mined the area, including Dublin Gulch and Haggard and Clear Creeks.
Mayo was established in 1903 to support all this mining activity, which came to include silver around Keno and Elsa. And in 1914, the first road to Mayo was completed, and greater access to Nacho-Naig-Dun lands was opened up.
We are proud of our culture, and we're working to build a stronger and happy future for our children and their children to live and flourish as they always have in our traditional territory. close to the land in celebration of our vibrant and beautiful culture. Education is a priority of our citizens to build skills in both the trades and academic streams. Building capacity within our government is also a big priority, as developing a government since we signed our agreements in 1993 is a huge task to say the least. We have been working diligently toward our vision and have made significant progress.
Our footprints are on this land. Our ancestors have traveled all over, and we will continue to use the land well into the future.
We are deeply affected by decisions made surrounding our water, land, wildlife and plants, and berries, and play an important role in environmental monitoring. In Mayo, the traditional knowledge of hunters, berry pickers, and other harvesters gained through years of observation on the land, and from knowledge passed on to them from our elders, forms the basis of an important community monitoring program. The baseline information being gathered through this program is helping us, as stewards of the land, to detect changes in the environment over time.
Nacho-Naigdan citizens feel a strong connection to their ancestors, and elders hold a very special and well-respected place in the community.
Our elders have experienced and seen many changes over time. Many of the elders in our community were young children when the influx of people came to the area. Their knowledge of the land and our culture is still strong, but has been influenced by modern-day lifestyle.
The First Nation of Nacho-Naigdan has many family groups with intermarital relationships. And the concept of family extends beyond blood ties. Also, the Nacho-Naigdan has strong relationships with the Gwich'in to the north, with other northern Shoshone communities, and with the Slavey people in the Northwest Territories.
Our First Nation is very close when a community member passes away, as we are all connected in some way and support one another in difficult times, especially when families are grieving. Funerals are an important part of our culture. It's where we come together as a community to uphold our cultural protocols, traditions, and practices.
Our community has witnessed many changes over the years and many newcomers to the area, and we ask for your respect while living, working, and playing in our traditional territory. We want our children to understand what it means to be Northern Tachoni and be proud of their culture and who they are. We are building the tools our citizens need to have a strong and healthy community and a government that honors our cultural and traditional ways.
Victoria Gold is extremely proud of its partnership with the First Nation of Nacho-Naigdan to help ensure open communication and together to identify potential opportunities for its citizens. Victoria recognizes the importance of the First Nations' history and cultural values, and as the company's president and CEO, on behalf of all our employees, I want to convey our dedication to building and sustaining strong working relationships within the community. Through our Comprehensive Cooperation and Benefits Agreement, or CBA, first signed on October 17, 2011, we are committed to the success of the Eagle Gold Project and the social, environmental, and economic well-being of the community we serve.
My position as the Nacho-Naigdan and Victoria Gold liaison has been very interesting and challenging, and has given me a lot of insight as to the way mine operations start. I enjoy being employed with my First Nation, and at the same time enjoy working with Victoria and all the different groups, community members, and other agencies. Overall, I enjoy this position immensely, and I look forward to connecting with all the citizens of Nacho-Naigdan.
Respect for our culture and traditional values can be demonstrated in several ways, such as showing an interest in our culture and traditions and participating in our community events, to driving slowly through our community and not littering or damaging property. This is the beginning of our story, and we have a lot to share.
Victoria's policies have been developed to reflect the respect for and adherence to the First Nation of Nacho-Naigdan's values and traditions. The company is committed to the health and safety, the wellness, and the cultural awareness of its employees, its partners, and the community. Since 2010, Victoria has incorporated the recommendations and wishes of the First Nation government and its citizens and the village of Mayo in its operations to create a mutually respectful and productive working environment that embraces and supports community and employee values. Thank you for taking this time to learn more about the First Nation of Nacho-Naigdan, its people, its history, and its culture, and about some of the concerns citizens have surrounding major development in the First Nations traditional territory. it's important that we all work together to help promote a healthy community and a strong economy based on its rich natural resources.
On behalf of our people, thank you and masicho.